So it's 250,000 years man has been cooking food before we eat it. We know, first of all, the idea that wild wolves are obligate carnivores like cats is untrue. There's a paper been published in Greece where they examined the stomach contents of 32 wild wolves, and they found that plant material constitutes a significant part of their daily intake. So they're not strictly omnivores anymore. We know that the dog has undergone a number of genetic changes which now allow them to utilize plant material. So we know there's been 10 gene changes which allow them to be able to digest and utilize starches, which is the main form of carbohydrate in plant material. And there's a list a mile long of adaptations that the domesticated dog has undergone since it was originally a wild animal. So they have got taste buds for sweet. They have got digestive enzymes, amylase, alpha amylase in the saliva. At least a lot of them now we do have, so that's the first stage of breakdown of carbohydrates as well. They've also got really high hepatic glucokinase levels, which is the enzyme that's essential for breaking down glucose. Now the cat lacks all of them. The domesticated cat does not have or hardly any amylase at all. It hardly has any taste buds and doesn't have any that deal with sugar, and they also totally lack glucokinase in the liver, which begs lots of questions, because a lot of cats are on carbohydrate-based diets, dry diets, and what the question then is, well, if they because we do know, despite the lack of amylase, they are able to digest and absorb starches, but what happens to that carbohydrate? If the glucose isn't being moved through the liver in a timely fashion, because the liver doesn't have any glucokinase there, that suggests that the glucose might be slushing around in the system longer, and that might be one of the reasons why we're seeing such high levels of diabetes, type 2 in the cat. Because when I qualified in the 70s, we would have recognized diabetes, because we recognize diabetes in the dog, like we would have recognized hypothyroidism if cats had it then, but they didn't have it then, at least not in any significant numbers. Now, there's another change, though, because obviously obesity is much more prevalent in cats now than it used to be when I qualified, and that's another contributory factor. So there's several contributory factors, but I think we can't actually totally rule out the possibility that high carbohydrate loading in cats is not a good idea. As far as dogs are concerned, though, there's no problem whatsoever. They can do. They are truly, genuinely omnivores, like we indeed are, and they can survive absolutely perfectly well, and have done for many years, just on plant-based foods.